Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Ilse is amazing. Thank you so much, Ilse. My name is Katie. I'm a pastry chef, a former bakery owner, and I'm so happy to be with you today for this Halloween-themed class. Cheesecake is absolutely one of my favorite things, and cheesecake bars are incredibly simple. I know Ilse told me before class she's not that confident of a baker, but these are simple for any level. Even if you're a novice baker or if you're more advanced, you can really have a lot of fun with these. I'll show you how to swirl colors. We're going to have some fun with Halloween candy and things like that. So it's just a really fun treat to make, even with the whole family if you want to. So if you are baking along today, feel free, be chatty in the chat. Let me know where you're at if you're having trouble with anything. If you're watching this back, definitely engage with us on Instagram at Learn It with Michaels. If you have any questions or if you do make this and you want to share a photo, that would be great to see it as well. But I'm so excited to get started. So you can come on down when you're ready and I'll show you what ingredients we're working with. So really simple stuff when you talk about cheesecake, nothing crazy here. And the recipe, the PDF of the recipe is in the class description for today's class if you're looking for it, but I will do my best to kind of give you quantities along the way. But today for the cheesecake crust, we're working with Oreos. So I have about 20 Oreos here. You could also use graham cracker crumbs. You could use golden Oreos. You can mix this up as much as you like, ginger snaps, really anything you prefer. I've got 2 tablespoons of melted butter over there on the stove. We'll get to that in a minute. I've got 2 8-ounce packs of cream cheese, and this is softened. Now, when you're dealing with cream cheese, it's best not to over soften it, particularly for this recipe where we're going to be piping the cheesecake batter. So really about 30 minutes or even 15 minutes at room temperature is plenty for this one. I've got 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. I've got 2 large eggs. My favorite thing ever, vanilla bean paste, which I'm like so obsessed with. If you haven't tried this, it's so, so good. And it does give little flecks of vanilla bean to your cheesecake, which is really lovely. I've got kosher salt, food coloring. I've got the really good Satin Ice food coloring today, all different gel colors. I'm probably going to choose 3, I think, today, but you can choose as many or as few as you like. You don't have to use food coloring if you don't want to. And then I've got some assorted candies. I've got like some fun eyeballs. I've got candy corn, M&Ms, sprinkles. And I do have a batch of cheesecake that's already been made and cooled, so we will decorate it and cut it today. And I'll talk about how to cut really perfect squares as well. So hopefully that'll help you out. I am today using my food processor to make the cheesecake. You can also do it in your stand mixer, but I prefer the food processor because we're going to make the crust in the food processor, wash it out, and then you're going to make the filling in the food processor. So it's very like 1, 2, 3, easy breezy, which I love for dessert. I'm a very lazy baker sometimes, so it's nice to do it all in one machine. But again, any questions along the way, let me know. I am going to just kind of dive right in here. So I'm going to start with my crust. I will pull this over, maybe so you could see the food processor a bit better since we're going to be using it so much today. And all I'm going to do is pop my Oreos right in. We're going to blend these up first. I'm not even going to bother breaking them up or anything like that. And along with our Oreos, I'm going to add in about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And this is incredibly important. Whenever you're making dessert, if you're not adding salt, you're kind of losing out on a really great way to just enhance the overall flavor in a very simple way, which is just by balancing that sweetness with a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind this up, and my oven is preheated if you are baking along to 350 degrees. And I do also have a baking pan that we're gonna line and work with in a minute. You can use an 8-inch pan, a 9-inch pan is good too. A 10-inch is gonna get a little shallow. So I would say an 8 or a 9-inch square is best for this. All right, so let's start grinding. Give this a pulse. Apologies for the sound. Perfect. And I feel like I hear like one little clump in there, but oh, well, we got like 3. So if you ever find these big ones, I feel like I always steal one as like my baker snack, but just give them a little crush. We'll blitz it one more time, just to mix it all up before we get our melted butter in. All right. Pretty good. At this point, if there's any left, we'll eat it. But I think we're all right. All right, so 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And this isn't a lot. And you'll notice it's not a lot because we left the filling in the Oreos. A lot of times when I worked in, the bakery or in restaurants, I used to take the filling out of the Oreos because I just thought it made like a crispier crust. And I find that it does, but the ease of just working with whole Oreos kind of can't be beat. So for this one, we're leaving it in. But that's why we don't need quite as much butter, because the filling is kind of binding the cookie crumb crust a little bit on its own. All right, a quick blitz. That's it. Ilsa, I feel like you could do this. This is going to be
so far so good, I think.
I have full confidence. All right, so let's prepare our baking pan here. I'm going to move this candy out of the way and save it for later. Scooty booty. Little eyeballs. All right, so when it comes to lining a baking pan, so I am using parchment paper to line it. So all I did is just cut a strip. Now you always want a little bit of an overhang when it comes to bars, because I want to be able to pull this out afterwards. So the best way I find when I'm measuring is just to turn your pan over, whatever it is. And I got sent this fancy made-in pan. I feel like this is a fancy one. But all I do is I kind of go a little bit smaller than the bottom. And this way it's just going to go in nice and evenly. So you can always just take a pencil or a pen, just kind of mark it, and then come back in and just cut straight lines. And then you know you're pretty good. And I do like to give it a spray, just so it's going to stay in place. Just a little bit of cooking spray. That way it's not going to move around on me when I'm putting my crumb crust in. And that's it, just like a perfectly lined, nice that fits, That's nice. I hate when people, that's my pet peeve, when people just press in a big square. There's really no reason, especially with cheesecake, which you're going to chill, it's going to pop right out. You don't have to line all of your sides. 2 sides is more than enough to cover your bases. All right, so crumb crust going in, and then we're going to wash out our food processor for our filling. And I do like to use a little measuring cup just to kind of even it out. This is a fun activity for kids. Like I have a 4-year-old and she would love this. She does not like chocolate, but I would do this with her with like golden Oreos and have a really nice time. So I'm not going up the sides. I'm only going to go along the bottom because I'm actually going to trim. So all my bars look exactly the same. I'm going to trim the edges. So there's no need to waste any of that good stuff along the edge. Let's give it a press first. And we'll even it out. Amazing what a difference the measuring cup makes. It's so perfect. All right. Perfect. And so this is going to bake just until it's fragrant. I know sometimes with Oreo crust, it's hard to tell, like, when is it done? You're going to smell it when it's ready. It's going to be about 8 to 10 minutes. You can feel it. It's going to feel really nice and firm, but also you're really just going to smell that chocolate. And that's when you know that it's ready to go. So I'll wash my hands. I'm going to pop it in, and then I'm going to clean out my food processor, and we're going to start on the filling. And I love also that this dessert is just like so fast. It's fast and easy. All right, wash this out. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Give it a rinse. Okay. And what's fun about this recipe too is if you like making cheesecake bars, it's just a great recipe to have, and you can kind of take it in any direction for any holiday, any colors that you like. You can add spices, zest. I could even add pumpkin puree to this and make it a pumpkin cheesecake. That would be really fun. Nancy, you're very sweet. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it. But yeah, this is just a really fun one to kind of just always have in your back pocket. I mean, these ingredients, it's like, what, 5 ingredients? It's like nothing. This is a good one. All right, so my food processor is clean. So again, my cream cheese is softened, but it's not overly squishy or anything like that. It's still a little bit on the firmer side. And you're gonna see it's because we're gonna be piping this that I don't want it super, super soft. And in there, 2 8-ounce packages. I've got 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. If I was doing something like a pumpkin cheesecake, I could even switch some of this for brown sugar if I wanted to, for a little bit more depth. That would be nice. All right, and let's give it a whirl. Oh. Perfect. Now, a thing about cheesecake that you may or may not know is actually air is sort of an enemy of cheesecake a little bit. So if you're ever making cheesecake and you're really going overboard when it comes to whipping the cream cheese and the sugar, you'll find that that air, as the cheesecake bakes, is going to kind of balloon up a little bit, and then it's going to settle back down, and that can sometimes cause cracks to happen. So really, we're just mixing until it's smooth, but you don't want to go to the point where it becomes light and fluffy and all that stuff. That actually is going to change the texture of your cheesecake a little bit in a way that you might not like. Kind of a fun fact there. All right, so I've got 2 eggs. Now I'm not going to go ahead and get these in all at once because that's going to cause lumps to happen. So I'm just going to add a little bit of my egg white first. Let's see if I could do that without getting any of this yolk in here. Come with me. Thank you. Oh, that looks so yucky right then. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to blitz this first just to make it nice and smooth. Right. And then I'm just going to feed in the rest as we go. Nice and slow, a little bit at a time. Oh. That's it. Let's flavor it up. How much mixing is too much? Well, I would say, again, like we're really just mixing until we're combined. We're not really going overboard to incorporate any sort of air. You're not looking to like whip it in any way. All you're doing with cheesecake, if you like a really dense, New York style cheesecake, is really just to mix it until it's combined. There we go. If you have anything on the side of the bowl, it's a good time to scrape it down. And now I'm going to add my flavoring. So I've got my vanilla bean paste that I love. I'm not necessarily measuring this, but I would say it's going to be about half a teaspoon. It's plenty. And you'll see when you add paste, it's just like the most beautiful vanilla-y situation. It's like very aromatic. You get those beautiful flecks running through, which is so nice. And half a teaspoon of salt, which sounds like a lot. And do make sure it's kosher salt. But you are going to taste the difference. It's going to make a huge difference. Everyone's going to say, oh my God, how is your cheesecake so good? It's the salt. It's always the salt. That's always the trick. All right. That's all, folks. So you can see it's nice and smooth. Jiggle, jiggle. So now's where we're going to have some fun. We're going to color it up. So I've got a few different bowls. And again, this is totally optional. This is just really fun for Halloween. I think it's fun to like give it a little bit of interest. And we're also going to swirl it in a really deceptively simple way that looks incredibly impressive. So that's kind of nice also. So I'm just going to divvy up a little bit of batter in each bowl. Maybe I'll do like a less of one, more of another. You don't really have to worry. It's all going in the baking pan, so you don't have to worry about how much is in each. Just kind of divvy it up. And I am going to leave a good portion of it white as my base. So we'll set that aside. And now's when I'm going to add my gel color. And the beauty of gel color, if you're not using gel color, you absolutely should be using gel color because it's just so much more vibrant and makes such a difference in the color of your baked goods without watering them down. Especially we had like a macaroon class, maybe like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And especially a treat like that where you really don't want it to thin out your batter. Gel color is really important to use. And I am going to go pretty bright because it's Halloween. I want like a nice vibrant color. Yeah, that's nice. I've got some orange. I'm going to do some violet. Can't tell, purple is my favorite color. Okay. Let's go deeper. Let's do more. You could even add cocoa powder to this. You could do like a chocolate. Have a lot of fun with it. And I'm just starting to smell my crust. And if anyone is watching this and baking along, you most likely are starting to smell your crust too, a little bit. Some green. This would be really pretty if you make this for Christmas and you just do like a red swirl, maybe add some peppermint extract. Would sprinkle on some crushed candy canes afterwards. You could do it in fall colors for Thanksgiving. You could do, beautiful colors for Valentine's Day. All of that would be really fun. So theoretically, you could just spoon the batter into the pan. If you want to get extra fancy, I'm using piping bags, but that's totally optional. But it is a nice way just to control your batter a little bit more. So I do like the piping bag route. And you'll notice, and we sort of went over this in our last class, to fold down the top of your bag whenever you're filling. So this way you get a nice clean edge. You're not worried about batter getting all over you, especially when we're dealing with all these colors. Food coloring is serious. You get like real colorful hands. LorAnn, how do we use the pumpkin spice emulsion instead of vanilla extract or on top of it? I love to add vanilla to just about everything because it adds so much depth. But if you do just want to use something like the pumpkin spice emulsion, just a little bit at a time, and I know there's raw eggs in here, but if you are experimenting for the first time, it does, just taste a little. So start with less is more, and just add a little bit by a little bit until you're happy with the flavor. But yeah, I always add vanilla. And if you don't have vanilla bean paste, or if you don't even have vanilla, if you ran out, even just a splash of rum or bourbon, it does pretty much bake out. There's always like a little bit left in, but that really adds great depth and complexity as well. And that's just a great way to add, that extra like level to your baked goods that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Let me pull out the crust before we forget here. Let's see how we're doing. It is going to need a minute to cool. Let's see what we got here. So it's nice and firm to the touch. It's fragrant. You smell it. It's really nice. So we're just going to let it set just for a minute. So we're not adding the cheesecake batter right on top of like a super, super hot crust. I would say even like 5 minutes, we're going to be ready to go. So by the time we fill our bags, we should be pretty good. So all I'm going to do is put each color, one color in each bag. But again, you can also skip the bag route and just use a spoon. But this is going to give you really perfect designs. So I'm just going to get my white in first. That's going to be my base, really. Okay. Perfect. Don't waste any of this. Aside, and I'm not using a tip or anything like that, just the bag. Get our orange. And I mentioned this in the last class, but I do like having really big bags. I do have a variety, like I have some smaller bags and some bigger ones, but like the 16-inch size piping bags, It's like my gift to myself. I just like having really big ones. But if you like fabric bags and things like that, that's great too. But you'll see, I also have like these little Chinese. It should be really good for this purpose. Like some tiny batters. My cup is doing double duty, but if you have a friend around, have them hold the bag. And the last one is our purple. What do you guys think? You like the colors? I love this violet because it's just so pretty. I feel like sometimes with gel food coloring, you get like a blue hue to your purple. And this violet is like particularly bright, which is so nice. All right, we're ready. This is where the magic happens. So we'll get this out of here. And I'll give you a sneak peek before I do this so you know what to expect. Or maybe I won't. It'll be a surprise. So cute. If you use black with the colors get money, I think black would be great. It might come out more of like a charcoal than a black. But I think it'd be fun. It'd be super fun. And if you are doing black and you're doing it for a large amount of the batter, just help it along with a little bit of cocoa powder so it's not like so much black. Because to get that much black sometimes is difficult. You could do a tablespoon of cocoa and balance it with a splash of cream or milk, or even sour cream, just to kind of balance that extra dry ingredient. But that's going to give you that boost in color, so you're not just like black mouthed. If you ever went to like a wedding and they had black macaroons and then everyone's smiling in pictures and they're just that's always the funniest. I love when that happens. It's great. But now, just an FYI, I've lowered the heat on my oven to 325. So the cheesecake is going to bake a little bit lower than my crust did. And I'm going to move my crust. This is hot. How hot are you? Yeah, it's a little hot. I'm going to move my crust to my cutting board. So we're ready to do this. I'll move this closer so you can see. All right. So we're going to cut holes in our bags. So we're actually going to be using all of our bags at once. So if you get nervous, you can use some sort of rubber band to close your bags. I'm sure Michael's has like fancy piping bag sealer things. I like to take like a little bit of plastic wrap. And this is just like a really easy way to tie the back of your bags and keep them closed. Just tie like a little knot around it. So this way it's not going anywhere. Because we are going to take turns and do like white, purple, orange. And so you don't necessarily want them flowing out all over your table. All right, last one. I forgot to check in with you, Mia. Are you actually baking along or are you baking something else in that apron while we're doing this? Oh, that's a great idea with saran wrap. Yeah, saran wrap is like that's a real help. We used to do that in the bakery also with like really big bags of buttercream and stuff like that. It's nice just to tie the back so nothing is coming out. Great for macaroon batter also. All right, we're ready. So I'm not going to go super big, but I'm not going to go super small. I would say like a centimeter or so. Just like that. I'm going to do that with all my bags. And maybe I'm just going to grab a bowl just to stand them up in so they're not going to explode everywhere. And if they do explode a bit, it's baking. Kind of par for the course, you know? All right, are you ready? You're baking along. Oh, great. Oh, that's fun. Let me know how it goes. I'm excited. All right, ready. So we're going to alternate. Now, this is still warm-ish, so my batter might start to flow. Don't worry, we're going to go over it in a second layer if we have to. But all I'm going to do is pipe a line and come in with my next color. Pipe a line. Next color. Now the least I have is purple, so I'm going to go light on my purple a little bit here. A little bit of green. And make sure you're avoiding the sides of the pan. You don't want it to burn as it's baking. And don't worry if it's perfect. It's going to look really good when it's done. I'll do a little extra white because I have extra of that. A little more orange. This is kind of fun. This would be really good for kids, but I could see them really making a mess with it at the same time. And again, don't worry if it's perfect. Doesn't matter yet. I'm going to go over. I'm going to start with my white here. All right, so here's where we're going to fill in. So now that you have sort of a base, so as we cut the bars, you're going to see that color. So it's important to have it all the way down. You could also just do white at the base and then swirl these colors over. That would be fine. But all I'm going to do is top off until I use it all up. And again, I have the most of white. So that's all our white. Top off with my orange. And if you chose the spoon route, you would basically just spoon in all different colors and just take a knife and swirl. We're going to do it like a little bit fancier. Beautiful. And as sort of messy as this becomes, once we get our knife in there, you're going to see it's going to get real fancy. Perfect. That was it. That was all my batter. All right. So now with a small paring knife, let's clean this up a little bit. And take your knife, and depending on how you like this, you could go angular or you can go straight. I like to angle a little because I think it's fancy. Don't go all the way to the crust, just through the cheesecake. Back and forth. That's fun. How fancy that is. That's so fun. I love that. You could also just do swirls. You could just take your knife and you could swirl it if you want to. That would be good too. But I just love the way that this sort of settles in. And once we top it with, I'll show you the ones I already made, but once we top it with Halloween candy, it gets like even more fun. So that's really cool. So this is going to bake 325 just until it sets. You want it to like slightly jiggle in the middle. And we talked about cracking before, which is a big thing for cheesecake, right? Everyone's always like, how do I get my cheesecake not to crack? So like the biggest tips that I could give you when it comes to cheesecake is cooling is sort of number one, a slow and steady cooling. So you'll see recipes where you crack the oven and the cheesecake, once it's done baking, it rests in the oven for 30 minutes. The reason for that is the more quickly your cheesecake cools, the more likely it is to crack. So a nice low and slow, let it come to room temperature before you put it in the refrigerator. You'll see after I take the other tray out, I cut around the edge, and you could do this for a whole cheesecake as well. When it comes out of the oven, just run a knife around the edge, because as it contracts, if it's stuck to the edge, that could cause cracks. So this way it's just going to loosen up and come in nicely. And other than that, that's pretty much those are the two big ones. Cut around it and let it cool really low and slow. And also avoid over baking. So as soon as it's just slightly jiggly in the middle, take it out of the oven, let it rest. It's going to be about 25 to 30 minutes. No water bath needed. And I don't even use water baths for my whole cheesecakes, and I never get cracks. So if you follow these rules, I'm not a fan of water baths. I think they're such a pain in the butt and so messy and just so, why do they exist? I don't know. Sometimes for creme brulee, I use a water bath, but for cheesecake, never. Because if you just go low and slow and you don't overbake and you cut around the edge, you're not going to have any issues. So 325, about 25 to 30 minutes. And I'm going to show you what they look like when they're done. So I did not put green on these. I only did orange and purple, oddly enough. But this I made yesterday. These are baked. I let them chill in the refrigerator overnight. And you'll see what I talked about when I said around the edge. So like, obviously you have your overhang on two sides, right? I have my parchment, but here I just ran a paring knife just along the edges, just to loosen it up, because you don't want it holding on and then cracking on the edge. You see, I have no cracks here. Crack free. It's gonna make a joke. It would have been in very poor taste, so I'm not gonna do that. But no cracks in our cheesecake. Here we go. I'm gonna bring over a second cutting board, and I'm just gonna show you how to get the cleanest squares. So once it's nice and chilled, and you do, if you're not making these the night before, at least chill them for about 2 hours. I would say is like a good amount of time, because they should be super duper cold. Just test them before you take them out. Make sure they're not sticking anywhere. Give them a little lift. And now the biggest thing that you're going to want when you're cutting is a glass of hot water. So I have, this is like my husband's giant. It's like a weird beer mug he never uses, but I love using this whenever I'm cutting anything. So I'm going to fill this up with very hot water. I'm going to do that first. Just straight from the tap is good, but make sure it's really nice and hot. And while I wait for that to get hot, you also want to grab a nice chef's knife, something sharp. And if you're really a perfectionist, then a ruler as well, but no pressure on that. You don't need to if you don't want to. Right. So I'm just going to dip my knife in the hot water. Just going to watch it. And that heat from the hot water is just going to make the easiest slices happen. And this is true whether you're slicing a birthday cake or you're slicing cheesecake. A glass of hot water is your best friend. Makes such a difference. So just dip it in, and between each cut, you're going to just wipe off your knife. So it's hot. If you touch your knife, it should be nice and hot. Okay, dip it in, give it a wipe. And first, I'm just going to trim my edges because I like them really, really perfect. If you're not worried about perfect edges, you do not have to trim your edges. And I only go in like a very tiny bit. But just so every square is exactly the same. You could have like a scrap bowl. And actually, I'm going to switch to a towel for my wipes. So I'm not making my way through paper towels unnecessarily. And you'll notice as I'm cutting, I'm not dragging my knife through and making a mess. Sometimes you'll get like little crumbs if you do that. So I'm just making one slice at a time, just pressing through with my knife until it goes all the way through. That's it. And again, wiping off with each cut. Same with my other side. Such a pretty purple. Love that. Now you can make these as big or as small as you like. I could, out of an 8 or a 9-inch pan, I could do 9 large bars. I could do 12 squares. I could even do mini bites, which would be so cute. You could put them in like little mini cupcake liners and have them as like cute little bites. And I am cutting them before I put my candy. And the reason for that is some of those bigger candies I'm going to put on, if I put them on now and then go to cut and the candy's in my way, that's gonna, just be a bit of a problem. So I don't want to do that. Just so you can see. All right, so before I cut all the way through, I do like to mark. So I'm going to go about halfway and I'm just going to mark with my knife so I know exactly where I'm going. That way, if I don't like what I did, I could always change it a little. Same thing. And I like to go on one side. It's a tedious process, but if you're the kind of person that likes really perfect squares, this is the way to do it. Now I turn it around and we just do the other side. You could see because they're nice and cold, they separate so nicely. All right, let's get my scraps out of here. Let's get a plate. And then we're going to finish it after we cut our squares and put them on with our candy. And you'll see the finished product. Candy. This is even fun to do with like leftover Halloween candy, if you want to. Right. So now I'm just going to go in the middle. See, like they're so cute. They're so cute. Hello. Oh, hello. All right, so right on my tray. Cute little squares. So for now, I'm just going to put 9 on because that's a good fit over there. And you can see because we didn't overbake them, they're just like so lusciously creamy all the way through, which is nice. And we didn't add sour cream to this, to our cheesecake. We didn't add heavy cream. There's nothing to like increase the creaminess of it. It's just the way the cheesecake is baked. Without over baking, you get that creamy result without having to add things like that. Just the cream cheese itself does the job. All right, so I'll put this aside for later. Let's finish them up. They're so cute. Hello. They're fun. All right, so we've got different candies. I've got eyeballs. I've got M&Ms. I've got candy corn. Have as much fun as you like. And this is where you can kind of do it as you like. Oh, I upside down you. This is very ASMR. I'm just putting eyeballs. I love the eyeballs because I feel like it's just such a fun. This would be so cute for like a Halloween bake sale or something. They'll say, what do you think? Do you like these?
They are so cute. I can't get over it. I'm thinking so many different decoration ideas right now.
Oh, yeah. And they're great, like all holidays. You could do this for any holiday with any candy, even with like
Yeah.
chopped candy bars on top. Could do
I
different.
love pinks. So something for Valentine's Day with like heart decorations and
That'd be
little pearls or something. I feel like that would be so cute.
so cute. Like little dragées with like pink and red swirl. And just to kind of finish them up, a little bit of this. A little sprinkle action. Let's see, will using less fat cream cheese affect the texture? Unfortunately, yes, it will. I'm not a fan of using reduced fat cream cheese for cheesecake particularly. But if you're, of course, like if your dietary requirements, like if that's what you have to do, it's totally fine. I would just say, it is going to lead to just a slightly less creamy texture. Nothing wrong with it. But it's not my favorite, but you can for sure. Look how fun these are. Oh wow. Are they cute? And what's fun is, if I show you the side view, which is hard with cheesecake to like pick it up. Ooh, you see like all the color running through? So you get like these fun, colorful bites. They're just super fun. Super cute. What do you guys think? Thank you so much, Laura Lee. Thank you, Lisa. I like your name. You're perfect. Wow. Who has leftover Halloween candy? That's a very good point. But if you do, last year we took like half of my daughters away without her really knowing it, which kind of worked out because she doesn't like chocolate anyway, so it was fine. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you make this recipe. If you do, I would love to see a picture. Please share it at Learn It with Michaels on Instagram. That'd be so awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Ilse, for helping. And no, the candies do not fall off. Thank you for that question, Margaret. Because the cheesecake is so creamy, they do not fall off. That's the beauty of I'll turn one over. That's the beauty of decorating them after they come out of the oven. They're still they're cooled, but they're like soft and yummy, and they just adhere right to it. If you put the candy on too soon, if they're warm, the candy is going to melt a little bit. You're going to get a little bit of that bleed of color. So definitely let them chill completely before you put the candy on. That would be best. Cool. Thank you guys. Happy baking. Happy Halloween.